Oh crap. There's copper in here. I'm back with yet another auction find. Can't remember how much I paid for this. I think it was like $90. The total weight on this thing is 300 pounds, and it's really awesome. So let's check it out. The listing said industrial plumbing unit. I don't know much about it. I still need to, I actually bought this a couple months ago. I've just not had any time to get out here and actually take it apart and mess with it. So I'm gonna do that today. And this should honestly be a pretty simple scrap out. Looks like all I'm gonna have to do is take out a couple bolts. But the first thing I wanna do is grab a magnet, put it on this and see if I have some non-magnetic stainless. If that's the case, this is gonna be worth a little bit more. But I need to get my tools all organized out of the back of my truck, get them out here, and we'll just see what we're working with. And as you can see, I don't really have that many tools. I wasn't going to need anything super heavy duty to get this done. Everything was going to fit in this Milwaukee pack out, which has this awesome handle that you can carry just like a little picnic basket is the way I think about it. Then also this crescent set. Both of these are great tools. They're easy to carry, and I really like them. They did great for this job. Alright, I got the tools out here now, and I'm going to kind of give you a breakdown of just exactly what I like to use whenever I'm out here doing stuff, whenever it's, I know it's going to be really dirty and nasty. Yeah, I just got this standard crescent set. It's pretty sick. It's got everything I really need to do any smaller job. Got all the ratchets, sockets. I mean, oh, that's good. Plus the 9/16. That stinks. But yeah, this is the main thing that I use whenever I know I'm just going to be doing on small stuff. I don't have any impact sockets with me today. I just got a really awesome set of some Milwaukee impact sockets, but I'm definitely not going to need those today just due to the fact that all these small bolts that I'm going to be working on, I mean, I could just break them loose with my hands. Alright, now I'm going to do a breakdown on the tools that I brought with me in the pack out and just kind of show you what I'm working with on this smaller job here. And this is just what I had loaded up. I didn't use every one. Main things that I was using were the impact. I used the grinder to cut some banding, and then I used the 3-pound hammer just a little bit. All a good assortment of tools. Alright, so we got the tools broken down. Now I just got to find me a magnet, and we're going to use it to test and see if we got some non-magnetic stainless on our hands. Actually see, let's grab this little magnet and see exactly what we're working with here. So there we go. Got steel sticking to it great. Obviously the nuts and bolts are magnetic. Whenever you stick it onto this, it'll stick anywhere it looks like. Alright, cool. Alright, all the hardware looks like it's gonna be magnetic because the magnet's sticking to it. Alright, let's start taking this thing apart. And it's kind of become a little tradition that I always use this one specific can to hold nuts and bolts whenever I'm scrapping stuff. This old wheel bearing grease can. Use it every single time. Never fails. And I decided to tackle this first with the little circular doors that I had to take off. After I got all the bolts out of them, they were really sealed on there pretty tight and I couldn't really get them off. But thankfully I had that 3-pound hammer. I did end up using it. Popped out of there nicely, the seal came off, and it ended up looking like a nice piece of stainless. Looks like we got some sort of copper thing on the back. Got her off. Pretty sweet. Seal came with it. Let's get the next one. Alright, on the other one, I had the luxury of this already being open. I was able to just go through and pop through with my hammer. But on this side, I don't have the other one open, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take off this side plate here. And whenever I take off that side plate, that's gonna give me access to go in, bust out both sides, and then we'll be able to get to the guts of this thing. If you can see on the right of the door that I'm working on there, there's a piece of metallic tape over one more bolt that I just forgot to take off. For some reason I just couldn't see it and I just kept working. For some reason in my head was thinking that there was a rivet holding this on, and I just thought I had to pull it off good enough and I'd eventually be able to break it loose. But I eventually found out that it was a bolt. Felt like a dummy, but I did get it off. I'm an idiot. Oh, sick. Comment, let me know what these things do if you know anything about industrial plumbing units or just plumbing units in general. Is this copper? What is this stuff? With all the doors off, I decided to go back and pull off the other side, knowing this time that I had to take every single bolt off, and this one came off without a hitch. And once these 2 copper cylinders were taken out, it was on to moving out the grates. And I just did that with a little flathead screwdriver. There wasn't enough room to be able to get my impact in there, so it took me about 6 minutes per side, but I eventually got it. I got all of the bolts, the outside done. Just got 4 on the outside of this, and we should be able to pull it off and have one side completed. Let's get it. Pretty cool little, looks like copper. Yep, no sticking, so pretty cool little copper grate. Let's get the other one. It's got a lot more weight to it than I thought. I mean, this is just a solid copper middle core piece. Looks like I just got to take one screw off here. It looks like I got some sort of a stainless coupler on it. And I'll go ahead and take the screws off this backside as well real quick. Do that, and we should have the middle pretty much done. Tell you what, this thing has got some weight to it. Probably one of the more solid pieces of copper I've ever had in my hand. Then I also found out that the little screws that were holding in the plates were actually made out of brass. So I decided to scoop those up and put them in a separate pile from all the other hardware that I've been collecting in the grease can. All right, next up, I think I'm gonna flip this whole thing over and get this out. These are spinning like crazy here. I don't know if I can spin them out. I think there's a nut on the bottom I gotta get to. So what I'm gonna do next, get everything cleaned off the top, move everything off to the side, cut the banding, and then I'm going to flip this thing on the side so I can get to the bottom and then get these next pieces of copper out. So let's get that done. Here's what we got on the bottom here. Looks like, that's just some sort of brass feature, and looks like we got more copper down here, so I'm gonna find out a way to whittle those out. Let's pull the impact back out, get a 9/16 going, and then we'll pull this thing off. Pull this back piece off now. That's a solid little brass piece. It's got some good weight to it. Man, I can't wait to weigh these things up and see what they actually weigh. Now this piece, simple as pulling it right out, and to my naked eye, this looks like a solid piece of copper. It's got some soldering on it, so it'll probably just be number 2, but unless I cut it. Yeah. All right, let's go over there to number 2 and do the exact same thing we just did. Copper piece number 2. I mean, this thing had a lot more copper in it than I originally thought. I at first thought it was just going to be these 2 pieces that I could visibly see, which were these 2 shaft pieces and then these 2 grates. But it ended up having some pretty good stuff on the inside as well. So, and I keep pulling more and more out of it. I think that's the last of the copper. Oh, can't forget these. Good pieces of brass as well. Oh, yes. All right. And the reason I did that little evil laugh of joy was I actually had to run down to the store and buy these bigger sets of Allen keys, because in the Crescent sets that I had, I didn't have one large enough in order to take these off. Thankfully, the biggest one in that set was able to take these off. Sick. And I was able to keep moving. The last thing that I wanted to do were those. I'm going to use these other smaller Allen keys out of the bigger set, get them taken apart, and after we get that taken apart, I'm going to weigh everything up and see what we got here. Well, what a shame. Unfortunately, the Allen set that I did buy ended up letting me down whenever I was trying to get this one specific size off. It didn't have one that would fit it, so I decided just to leave it together. I got all of the tools packed up and organized in order to get out of there, because I was pretty much done at this point. The only thing I had to do was organize all the metals out, grab my scale, and start getting some weights thrown together. And a new scale is definitely something I need to invest in. I've just been rocking with this old house scale that I took out of my grandma's house. It's been doing its job pretty good now, but I don't know, in the future I definitely want to get something bigger. Anyways, I started off weighing up the copper. The Leaning Tower of Pisa copper. We ended up getting 25 pounds of copper. And after the copper was weighed up, it was on to doing some of the stainless, and I decided to start with the different cylinders here in order to get my first weight. With the shafts, we got almost just for the simplicity of it, we'll call that 50 pounds. A little bit over 35, we'll call that 35 for simplicity. Another, what is that? For simplicity's sake, we'll call it 30 more pounds on the little teepee. Lastly, we got the big dog. I'm curious what that's gonna weigh. Need something more stable for it. I'm gonna use this as a platform over it. Oh! There we go. Let's see. We're sitting at, what is that? 135. Let's go ahead and weigh the one small one individually really quick. Almost 10 pounds. So 125 pounds for this, plus everything else, plus that. Pretty good scrap out. Well, that concludes the scrappage, guys. Got a lot of good non-magnetic stainless. Got some good copper, even got a little bit of brass. So this was definitely a good, successful scrap out. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. God bless. As always, have a good one. Thanks for watching, everybody.